Hello, YouTube. This is Old School, coming live from Valrico, Florida. Got a camp update for you, as well as a couple of questions that came in from some of our viewers. I want to thank all you guys for subscribing. We're almost at 300, which just puts us about 33% of Big Nick's following, which means the Panther Nation is still rocking the freaking house. But as you guys are aware, if you've been watching the videos, I'm out there for almost every session. I missed one session the day before yesterday, but the reason was I actually got an incredible offer to go in and host a local station's morning show, the 7 to 9 drive time. So I missed the morning session, which was full contact, which apparently had some great stuff in it, including Byron Leftwich having a terrific day, which I haven't seen, or I had not seen to that point. I made it back over for the afternoon practice, which was much more subdued. I'll review some of that today in this video, but more importantly, I'll go over what I saw yesterday in the one practice that we had. There was only one on Thursday. And kind of who was high, who was low, and what we saw. There's some quotes that came out there a little bit incongruous with what I saw. The first one being around Kellen Winslow. Apparently, Coach Morris came out and said his highs are too highs, his lows are too lows. I've been watching Kellen pretty closely just to see how he's holding up, what he's doing, and this kid just is working his ass off. I'd love to hate him, but he's running great routes. He's putting out a lot of effort. He's making great catches. Now, obviously, Coach has seen him a lot more than I am, and he's probably got something to say here, but from a fan's perspective, he looks like he's doing everything right. All in all, the quarterback who had the worst day yesterday was Josh Freeman. He looked particularly bad. Byron Leftwich looked pretty good, actually. Again, I know I've been beating Byron Leftwich up because of his speed in general, but yesterday he had a pretty good day. He had a couple of nice hookups, victimized Tenar Jackson. He victimized Jermaine Phillips, who was out of position. It was a lot of good work by Byron Leftwich, regardless of whether it was the ones or the twos he was playing with. Now, the big difference for our Buck quarterbacks right now is if they put the two line in, the D-line is getting through. If they put the one line in, it's not so much happening. So now notice our ones line is affected right now due to injuries. Jeff Fain is out with a groin pull, so Sean Mahan is taking the snaps at number one center. Other interesting notes about the offensive line, and probably the guy who stood out the most in yesterday's practice to me, was old boy Donald Penn. Now, Donald Penn, contract holdout, ended up getting a one-year tender offer, signed it grudgingly, thought it was too low, thought he should have got a longer-term contract deal. The team didn't have to offer him any more than that, so that's what they offered him, so he was pissed. He's also been ridden constantly for being fat. All the other linemen lost weight. Davin Joseph, Trueblood, came in better shape because the zone blocking scheme usually requires more athleticism. Donald Penn looks like he did last year, but I sat there and watched Donald Penn throw guys around like rag dolls. When you talk about wanting to play angry, and that's what Coach Raw really wants people doing, he wants them playing angry, Donald Penn's an angry man right now, and he is whipping people's asses in practice, and it looks great. I know that was really big against Cowboys last year, even though we weren't able to pull off the win. He broke Ware's streak of sacks, and there's no doubt that he's going to remember that. Scott Reynolds was on the show last night with us, and he brought that up. I'm sure Ware remembers that, and he's going to try and get Donald Penn back for it. Jimmy Wilkerson continues to impress from the D-line perspective. He's doing everything right. The big difference on the D-line is what he's doing well and what Hovan does is once they make the move that gives them the advantage of the leverage, they take the advantage of the leverage and they head to the quarterback. Right, so whether it's hand motion, spin, rip, swim, whatever it happens to be, as soon as they get to the point where they have the leverage advantage on the defender, they're making their cut aggressively. The younger guys like Jarrett Bowie, Roy Miller, all these guys are doing a lot of moves. They're trying to use all the stuff that the coaching staff is teaching them. They got to realize you make enough moves until you gain the advantage you want, and then you make your beeline for the target, whether it's a quarterback or a running back, whatever the case may be. Luke McCown didn't have a bad practice. It was just Byron had a better practice yesterday, all in all. On the defensive side of the ball, the Jermaine Phillips experiment, as was called out by Hostile 727, which, by the way, is one of the better handles I've ever seen, Hostile. He is definitely going to play linebacker. Right now, he's still learning the spots. He did get beat pretty bad by making a bad read. He got thrown over the top of yesterday. We don't see anything out of Crowell yet. He's injured again. He's got a hamstring injury. We got Barrett Ruud locked in. We got Jermaine Phillips, who's essentially locked in, and I think we got Quincy Black locked in. Quincy Black is playing the best linebacker, potentially even better than Barrett Ruud is right now, to be quite honest. So I think you're going to see Geno Hayes. Geno Hayes had a good practice today from what I heard. Doc Levy was over there. We'll get some reports from him later tonight. And we've got some depth there. Hayward, we got some other guys that can actually play ball. I'll leave McCoy out because I don't think he's particularly good. But we're going to have to wait till they do when they're actually tackling other players. See how that aggression pays off, see how their reads work, see how they're able to actually get into the flow of a real game. But I think you're going to see a guy like Geno Hayes kind of percolate to the top. But right now, Quincy Black looks absolutely phenomenal. in my opinion. I got a couple of notes here about the last drive where Leftwich really did just put on a clinic. He was doing a good job moving the ball down the field, making all the different throws, square ins, out, slant, sluggos. He's putting the ball over the field, and somehow he was doing it in a way that didn't get him sacked. Either that means our pressure is incredibly bad, which I didn't think was the case, or he plays faster when he needs to play faster, which would be terrific. So that was sort of the overcap of that, or the overview of that, the recap, if you will. Defense kind of got beat pretty good in a lot of the drills, but at the end of the day, the offense lost those drills and had to do the gasser. So when you lose your 11-11 period, you do the gassers. That's sort of the review. The questions that I had from Hostile 727 were around the linebacker position. I'm going to give you the whole question and then review the answer. Rude's locked in at the mic. He heard that the Jermaine Phillips experiment isn't an experiment anymore, which is true. That came out in the Tampa Bay Online, which is the Tribune Online. Who do we think is behind Flip? I think we got a cascade of linebackers so they can interchange around back there. We got a bunch of them on the staff. I talked about some of them that I think have some potential, like Geno Hayes, like Adam Hayward. And like I said, we haven't even really talked about what Crowell can do when he's actually able to stay on the field. So we do have a fear as Buck fans that Flip is going to end up getting injured. He's calling him injury prone is probably not fair, but he broke his forearms twice last year. That has us concerned with a lot of contact. So, and Hostile, thanks for the question, and also thanks for tuning on your friends to the webcast. I'm glad you like it. Outgoing 37, our boy from the Dirty Bird Nation, asked us some questions about the Falcons, which I'll get in here because I respect him. What do I think about Roddy White's holdout? I think it's horseshit. I think Roddy White had a good season. He should stop crying. It wasn't too long ago that we thought all Atlanta Falcons receivers sucked, especially now with Harry Douglas going down. You guys have got to get some receivers in camp. I don't think the Marvin Harrison idea is a good one outgoing because I think Marvin Harrison doesn't have anything left in the tank. I think at this point you've got to go after some younger guys that are out there, maybe some troubled guys, or take some people from your P squad. Hopefully your P squad's got some talent, or you go pull some other kids off of other people's P squads. There's talent out there. You just got to go get it. I just don't think an old Marvin Harrison is going to be that. We talked about Eli Manning on the actual 10-10 show that I did the other morning, a $97 million contract. Just an amazing amount of money for a guy that really can only hang his hat on that one Super Bowl win. And a lot of that goes to his defense, right? I mean, this is a lot of money to put on Eli Manning. Now, I know Ralph Acciano of the New York Daily News was a big fan of this, said that Eli's handling the pressure of the biggest stage well, and his coaches think so because he does what he asks him to do. But, you know, you're putting this guy in rarefied air. Though when you look at the numbers, if you look at the top 5 guys on per-year payouts, Julius Peppers is number 1 with his mercenary one-year contract. Carson Palmer's ahead of Eli Manning. And Carson Palmer, I don't know if I've seen him play a full season in, I don't know, a million years. The last question was Crabtree. You know, he heard us make the comment that I actually like Crabtree coming out of the draft, and now he's essentially come out and said, listen, if y'all can't make my financial commitments, then I'm ready to sit out the whole year. And that sucks. I think it's horseshit. I think that these guys are lucky to get a contract at all. I do think there should be rookie salary cap. I do think it should be structured. I do think that veterans should be paid more than rookies. I think that it's like any other line of business. When you look at any business of significant size, you have a couple of different compensation models. You have your salary, which is your core comp. Then you have things like cash bonuses, which are for exceptional activities in a short period of time. And then you have things usually like stock options, which give you equity and build wealth over time. They're for long-term potential. So if you want to go out and hire someone who's a one-year mercenary, has a lot of talent, and can get a lot of production, you give them big cash, right, and options for big bonus, but you don't give them any options for a stock equivalent right now. Right now, the NFL has no equivalent for that stock option concept, that ownership quotient. And maybe that's the kind of thing we need to have, is some sort of a revamp on the comp model so that we can do those sorts of things. Because to be honest, having those 3 models allows a manager of any type to compensate his people appropriately versus a young guy that's got a ton of upside. You want to give him something that will pay out over time as he or she, well, in this case, he who develops. That's what the kind of thing would be for. So, in general, I think guys coming out who are rookies and putting their, holding their breath and saying, screw you guys, I'm not coming out till you pay me what I want is horseshit. And I think he's doing it to the wrong guy because Mike Singletary will break his foot off in his ass. And I would like to see that. So, whatthebuck.net. We'll be back Thursday night. We'll have another camp report probably this evening or tomorrow morning. Like I said, Doc Levy was there. We'll get his notes in. I've got to update the website with the 2 notes that I did not do yet due to my neck and shoulder injury. I'll get Doc's notes up there. Our boy Incognito's working on the new website this weekend. Hopefully that'll go live next week. All kinds of exciting things. Word on the street is we're going to have a special guest in the very near future. Mark Dominic, GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has agreed to come on to What the Buck, which is a ballsy move because we don't ask the easiest questions, and I respect them a lot for going through with that. So if you like what you see, make sure you rate it. Make sure you tell your friends. and come over and check out the broadcast. We've also got the podcast up there on iTunes and Zune. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We'd love to hear from Bucks fans as well as other fans as well. We're just trying to increase or improve the product that we produce as a byproduct of the team that we love. So we will be out there Saturday for both sessions. There's no sessions on Sunday. And then next week we're going to try and get some coverage. Thanks again for listening to the podcast, the YouTube video, and I will see you next time.